Picture this. You're standing right in the middle of modern Mumbai.
Oh, right in the thick of the financial district.
Yeah, exactly. You've got the glittering glass skyscrapers, the bustling stock exchange, billionaires looking down from these massive high-rise penthouses. It is the absolute definition of a 21st century financial powerhouse.
Oh, absolutely. It's a global hub.
Right. But I want you to strip all of that away for a second. Erase the glass, erase the tech money, just get rid of the digital trading floors. I want you to imagine this exact same geography, but we are back in the 1950s.
A completely different world.
Literally. And instead of corporate boardrooms, this city is being carved up by men who negotiate with foldable rampuri knives, sheer audacity, and honestly, terrifying street violence.
Yeah, it's a completely different landscape, but I mean, it really is the foundation for the city we see today. You're looking at the birth of an underground empire that didn't just break the law. It basically ran parallel to the actual government, dictating the local economy in ways the state just simply couldn't control.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we have a really fascinating mission. We are pulling from the meticulously researched book Dongri to Dubai, 6 Decades of the Mumbai Mafia by S. Hussain Zaidi.
Such a fantastic source.
It really is. And our mission today is to extract the history of how the Mumbai underworld evolved. We're going to see how it mutated from, unorganized, petty street thugs into a massive corporatized global syndicate. Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even begin with 1950s Bombay?
Well, we have to start with the economic environment of a newly independent India. I mean, Bombay was a city just flooded with migrants pouring in from all over the country, all chasing the promise of the city of gold.
Right, seeking opportunity.
Exactly. But the reality on the ground was incredibly harsh. While many found honest, backbreaking work in the textile mills or the docks, there was just intense, grinding poverty everywhere.
Yeah.
So when you combine massive populations living in slums with a severe lack of formal education and opportunity, you create a very specific kind of economic vacuum.
And vacuums always get filled.
Always. A desperate few realized that the fastest way out of destitution wasn't waiting for a factory job. It was exploiting the new laws of the land.
Yeah.
And that vacuum became the incubator for the first generation of true mafia dons.
And to understand the modern mafia, we really first have to look at these founding fathers, because they didn't just build empires on random violence. They built them on distinct personal brands and incredibly strict codes of conduct.
Oh, their branding was everything.
Let's look at Haji Mastan. He starts out as a poor dockyard coolie, literally carrying heavy loads off ships for, I think it was about 15 rupees a month.
Which was barely enough to survive back then. But being on the docks gave Mastan a front row seat to the massive influx of imported goods that were bypassing customs.
Ah, the smuggling routes.
Right. Because post-independence India had incredibly strict socialist economic policies and exorbitant import tariffs on items like gold, watches, electronics.
The luxury stuff.
Exactly. The demand for these goods was skyrocketing among the wealthy, but the legal supply was choked by taxes. So Mastan saw the bottleneck and realized, hey, I can become the bypass.
So he starts helping this Arab smuggler named Khalib evade those heavy duties. Things are running smoothly, but then Khalib gets caught and sent to jail for 3 years.
That's a long stint.
Yeah. Now here's the crazy part. Just before the arrest, Mastan had taken delivery of a massive wooden crate of pure gold biscuits for Khalib. So for 3 years, Mastan is just sitting on a fortune that could instantly make him the king of Bombay.
The temptation to liquidate that gold must have been unimaginable. I mean, for a man living in a tin-roof slum, it would have been so easy to just claim the police confiscated it.
But he doesn't touch it, not a single piece. When Khalib finally gets out of jail, he is a broken, penniless man trying to figure out how he's going to survive.
Probably expecting the worst.
Exactly. But Mastan takes him back to his tiny house in the slums, pulls away a pile of dirty laundry, and reveals the wooden crate, completely untouched.
That is wild.
He didn't steal a single biscuit. He reportedly told Khalib that his father taught him you can escape the police, but you can never escape the creator. Khalib is so astounded by this honesty, he instantly makes Mastan a 50-50 partner in his entire smuggling operation.
Overnight millionaire.
Literally overnight.
What's fascinating here is the absolute power of reputation in an illegal market. Mastan leveraged honesty, which, sounds like an oxymoron for a smuggler.
Right.
But he used it to build unshakable trust. In a black market, you can't rely on contracts or the court system to enforce agreements. Trust is your only currency. Mastan proved his creditworthiness.
You really did. But he wasn't the only one building a strategic brand. While Mastan ruled the sea routes and the docks, the slums of central Bombay were being organized by a South Indian migrant named Varadarajan Mudaliar.
Better known as Vardapai.
Yes, Vardapai. And he capitalized on another massive government intervention, the Bombay Prohibition Act.
Ah, right, the classic ban on alcohol.
Exactly. The state banned the sale and consumption of liquor, which, surprise, surprise, predictably created an explosive demand for illicit alcohol.
He built a sprawling, illicit hooch empire down in the slums. But, his real genius wasn't just logistics, it was psychological dominance. He engineered a total hold on the local police force.
Oh, this story is amazing.
It is. There's this famous story about how Varda managed his station visits. If he needed to see a senior police officer, he didn't just walk in the front door. First, a local tea vendor would arrive at the station, walk right up to the senior officer's desk, and just place down a glass of dark, fizzy cola.
And the local slang for it was kalapani, right? Blackwater.
Yes, kalapani. That glass of soda was a silent, terrifying signal. It meant Varda was on his way,
Yeah.
and the police would actually clear the station.
Wait, really? The police would leave?
Yeah. They would kick out ordinary citizens filing complaints. Junior officers would quickly leave the room, all to prepare for the arrival of a criminal.
It's just a brilliant symbol to unpack. That glass of soda wasn't just a quirky calling card. It represented absolute systemic corruption.
Total ownership.
Yeah, it signaled to everyone in the room that the state police apparatus had been entirely bought out by illicit liquor money. Varda owned them. And then you have the third pillar of this early underworld, Karim Lala.
It's giant.
Yeah, giant, intimidating man from the Pathan community.
To give some context here, the Pathans are an ethno-linguistic group originally from the northwest frontier.
Yeah.
They were historically known for their imposing physical stature and a very strict traditional martial code.
Right.
So Karim Lala leveraged that specific cultural reputation for fear. He started with gambling dens, but quickly realized the massive profit margins were actually in real estate evictions.
And this is where the economics get really interesting. You have to ask, why was there a black market for evictions in the first place?
Because of the Rent Control Act.
Exactly. The Bombay Rent Control Act of 1947. The government froze rents to protect tenants, which meant by the 60s and 70s, landlords were stuck earning literal pennies on highly valuable properties, and they couldn't legally evict anyone.
So that legal gridlock created a desperate need for illegal muscle. Landlords would pay Karim Lala an absolute fortune to remove tenants so they could sell or redevelop the buildings.
And his branding was almost surreal in its efficiency.
Oh, the walking stick.
Yes. He became so universally feared that he didn't even need to physically show up to throw someone out. His men would walk into a disputed apartment and simply leave Karim Lala's famous wooden walking stick on the sofa.
Just the stick.
Just the stick. The tenants would recognize it, understand the implied threat of catastrophic violence, and just pack up and flee.
It's incredible.
It is. But looking at these three, Mastan, Varda, and Lala, they function almost like early 20th century industrialists monopolizing specific sectors. Mastan has smuggling, Varda has liquor, Lala has extortion.
A perfect division of labor.
Right. But I have to push back a little here. When you read these stories of the untouched gold or the walking stick or these dons holding neighborhood courts to settle disputes, I mean, were these men really honorable thieves living by some noble code, or is that just highly effective romanticized PR?
Well, that is the essential question when analyzing organized crime. And honestly, it was highly calculated PR, utilized purely as a survival tactic.
So buying loyalty.
Exactly. These men funneled a portion of their massive illegal wealth into local philanthropy to buy community loyalty. Vardahai, for instance, would feed thousands of people at his local shrine every year.
Wow.
Mastan and Lala actively helped the poor with medical bills and weddings. By doing this, they were effectively creating a parallel government where the actual state was failing its poorest citizens.
Because if you feed the neighborhood won't inform the police about your illegal liquor stills or your smuggled gold shipments.
Precisely. It was a strategic investment in human capital. Which brings us to the inevitable next step in any maturing capitalist system, mergers and acquisitions.
Oh, right.
Because while Mastan, Varda, and Lala were wildly successful in their own lanes, their individual growth eventually hit a hard ceiling.
They needed each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To truly rule the city, they needed each other's specific assets. Mastan had unimaginable wealth, but he lacked the street-level muscle to protect it. Varda had an army of loyal slum dwellers, but lacked elite political connections and high-level financing.
And Lala had the raw physical terror but lacked sophisticated business acumen.
Right, so the way this alliance forged is straight out of a movie. Varda gets arrested for stealing a massive shipment of imported customs antenna.
Yeah, the jailhouse deal.
He's sitting in a jail cell, facing serious prison time and potential police brutality. And suddenly, in walks Haji Mastan.
I love this scene. Mastan is wearing an impeccable white suit, smoking an expensive five cigarette, just strolling past the guards like he owns the precinct.
Just zero fear.
Zero. He walks right up to Varda's cell and speaks to him in Tamil, which ensures the Marathi-speaking police officers can't understand a single word of the negotiation.
It was a brilliant tactical demonstration of power. Mastan offers a really straightforward deal. He says, return the stolen goods to calm the authorities, and I will not only bail you out, but make you a partner in the lucrative gold business.
And Varda instantly recognizes that Mastan's influence supersedes the law. So they shake hands through the iron bars, Varda gets out, and the ultimate Mumbai triad is born.
It's a massive shift in power.
So what does this all mean? If you're analyzing this from an economic perspective, you're witnessing the exact moment an unorganized, chaotic street market turns into an incredibly lucrative corporate oligopoly.
Yes, the era of street gangs was over.
Mastan provided the brains and the money, Varda provided the logistics and the sheer numbers, and Karim Lala provided the raw physical muscle. They basically carved up the city and got very, very comfortable.
But as any historian or economist will tell you, monopolies that get comfortable breed massive vulnerabilities.
Oh, absolutely.
While the big three were busy acting like untouchable corporate CEOs, they completely ignored the simmering rage of a new generation in the poorest slums. Specifically, a teenager from the Dongri neighborhood named Dawood Ibrahim.
Enter the upstart. The irony of Dawood's origin story is staggering, because you would assume a future crime boss was born into a criminal dynasty.
Right.
But his father, Ibrahim Kaskar, was a highly respected, deeply moral head constable in the Mumbai crime branch.
It's fascinating. Ibrahim Kaskar was known across the city for his absolute integrity. Even the established dons respected his authority. But when Kaskar and several colleagues were temporarily suspended over an unsolved case, his family plunged into sudden, desperate poverty.
Just lost everything.
Exactly. They went from a stable, respectable life to literally struggling for basic meals. That steep drop into destitution pushed young Dawood out of school and onto the streets, where he formed a small gang called the Young Party.
And the Young Party was pretty small time, mostly running petty scams, until they ran into Bashu Dada.
Oh, Bashu.
Yeah, Bashu was a massively muscular, arrogant local don who drove a black Mercedes-Benz, which was a very rare symbol of extreme wealth back then, and he ruled purely through physical intimidation.
He owned a local gym, right?
Yeah, and gyms in these neighborhoods were crucial power centers where muscle was recruited. Just to prove his dominance, Bashu would force his own massive henchmen to do push-ups until they collapsed. And then he would effortlessly drop down and do 120 push-ups himself.
He was a legacy don whose entire brand was built on physical invincibility and ego.
But he makes a catastrophic mistake. Over a minor neighborhood dispute, Bashu publicly humiliates Dawood's father and older brother. He insults their honor in front of the entire community.
Which you just don't do.
No. But Dawood is young, scrawny, and he knows he absolutely cannot beat Bashu in a traditional floor fight. So he changes the rules of engagement.
He relies on a surgical strike to dismantle Bashu's reputation. Dawood and his gang wait outside a local mosque. When Bashu walks out, expecting respect, they ambush him.
But not with knives or guns.
No, they hurl glass soda bottles and light bulbs, just raining shrapnel down on Bashu and his heavy enforcers. It completely disorients and humiliates them. Bashu is actually forced to flee in his prized Mercedes.
But Dawood doesn't stop at the street ambush. He takes his gang straight to Bashu's beloved bodybuilding gym.
To finish the job.
Yeah, they take hockey sticks and completely decimate the place. They shatter the expensive floor-to-ceiling mirrors, smash the weights, and they even destroy Bashu's prized almond sherbet machine.
Hitting him where it hurts.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. I view Dawood in this moment like a disruptive, agile tech startup taking down a bloated legacy corporation. He didn't just beat Bashu physically, he destroyed his aura of invincibility.
It's a masterclass in psychological leverage. By shattering the gym, the literal symbol of Bashu's physical power, Dawood shattered the man's brand. Bashu was so utterly humiliated by these skinny teenagers that he went into permanent exile.
Wait, he just left?
He left the city and never returned.
Wow. Defeating Bashu gave Dawood incredible street credibility. But taking out a local bully is very different from taking on the ultimate giants of the triad.
Right.
To threaten the empire of Haji Mastan or the enforcers of Karim Lala, Dawood needed massive funding to hire an army, and he needed a reputation that inspired pure terror.
He had to cross the line from neighborhood brawls to major high-stakes felonies.
And he crosses that line with a brazen daytime heist, the Karnak Bunder robbery. Dawood gets a tip about couriers moving a massive amount of black money, which he assumes belongs to the smuggling kingpin, Haji Mastan.
A bold target.
Very bold. In broad daylight, Dawood and his crew hijack the courier's cab. Dawood stares them down, threatens to slit their throats, and steals 4.75 lakh rupees.
Which was an astronomical fortune in the 70s.
Oh, massive. But they soon discover a shocking twist. It wasn't Mastan's money. It was a legitimate bank transfer. Dawood had just pulled off the biggest bank robbery of the decade.
The city was in an absolute uproar. And when Dawood's father, the famously honest former cop, finds out what his sons have done, the ideological clash is just brutal.
Ibrahim Kaskar is deeply ashamed. He tracks down Dawood and his brother, takes off his thick leather police belt, and beats them relentlessly. The source material actually notes he beat them until their skin peeled.
Awful.
And then, as a final act of unshakable integrity, the father physically drags his own bleeding sons to the police station and surrenders them to the authorities.
It highlights the massive moral chasm between the father's generation and the son's. Dawood eventually secures bail and survives the fallout of the robbery, but the money gives him the capital he needs.
Right.
However, the true watershed moment, the event that forever altered the DNA of the Mumbai underworld, was the murder of Dawood's close friend, Iqbal Natik.
Yeah, Natik was a courageous, self-made local journalist who ran a small newspaper. And he was writing these fearless exposés about the Pathan gang, Karim Lala's men, detailing their illegal evictions, extortions, and murders.
And the Pathans decided they could no longer tolerate the bad press. In the middle of the night, they kidnapped Natik, beat him mercilessly, and tortured him with a chopper.
And in Mumbai underworld slang, a chopper isn't a motorcycle, it's a massive, terrifying meat cleaver.
Right. They dumped his half-dead body in a sewer in Mahim, and though he managed to crawl out, he died shortly after in the hospital.
I mean, we've been comparing these underworld figures to corporate CEOs, talking about mergers and market shares. But we have to remember the stark reality here. It's easy to get caught up in the cinematic rise of an underdog, but we have to remember the sheer horrific brutality of this transition. Dawood wasn't just claiming territory, he was introducing a new level of sadism to the city.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Natik's death erased any remaining hesitation in Dawood. He realized the old rules of gentlemanly negotiations were just a facade. So he formed a strategic alliance with a local police inspector named Lika, who was completely overwhelmed by the heavily armed Pathans. Lika's strategy was pragmatic. He wanted to use Dawood as iron to cut iron. Let the rising gang wipe out the established gang.
And Dawood unleashed his new primary enforcer, a ruthless wrestler named Khalid Pahelwan, to hunt down the Pathans responsible for Natik's death. And the retaliation wasn't just about killing them, it was about sending a gruesome theatrical message.
The violence was meant to permanently paralyze the old guard with fear.
They tracked down one of the Pathan leaders, Ayub Lala, dragged him through the crowded Dongri market, and Khalid used a meat cleaver to systematically slice Ayub's ankles and wrists, just leaving him to bleed to death in the middle of the street.
Brutal.
And later, they found another key figure, Saeed Batla, drinking in a local bar. They pinned him to a table, and Khalid slowly chopped his fingers off one by one, leaving them hanging by the skin before finally killing him.
It was a horrific escalation. But from an organizational standpoint, that sadistic victory cemented Dawood Ibrahim as the new, undisputed king of the Mumbai underworld.
He wiped them out.
The old guard, the Dons with their strict codes, community philanthropy, and walking sticks, they were rendered instantly obsolete. They couldn't comprehend or counter this level of asymmetrical, terror-driven warfare.
And this is how Dawood scales his operation. He didn't just take over the local extortion rackets. He realized the future of crime was borderless.
Absolutely.
He utilized the Hawala system, which is an ancient trust-based network of informal money transfers, to move his illicit funds instantly across the globe without ever touching a formal bank.
He evolved the local street gang into D Company, a transnational syndicate. He eventually relocated his entire operation to a heavily guarded fortress in Karachi, Pakistan.
Far out of reach.
Exactly. From there, he used his established smuggling routes, originally built for gold and electronics, to move narcotics and weapons, eventually orchestrating international terrorism.
Including the devastating 1993 Bombay bombings.
Yes.
When you look back at this deep dive, it fundamentally shifts how you view organized crime. It isn't just a story about inherently bad people doing bad things. It is deeply rooted in economics.
Very much so.
It's about shifting power dynamics, government policies like the Rent Control Act, or high import tariffs creating black markets, and what happens when the legal system leaves a massive vacuum for ambitious, ruthless individuals to exploit.
This raises an important question. Dawood Ibrahim built his global empire because he recognized the rigid, outdated hierarchies of the older dons and he exploited them.
It moved faster.
Exactly. He utilized new networks like Hawala and operated with a total disregard for the established rules. The legacy syndicate simply couldn't adapt in time.
It's a terrifying thought.
So, we have to ask ourselves, in today's hyper-connected digital world where illicit money doesn't move in briefcases, but in milliseconds, through cryptocurrency mixers and global shell companies, who are the modern Dawoods hiding in plain sight? And what outdated legacy regulatory systems are they currently exploiting to build tomorrow's untouchable empires?
It certainly makes you view the city differently. The next time you look at the glittering skyline of any modern financial hub, just remember, beneath the glass and the tech money, the foundation was often negotiated with a Rampuri knife.